This is the RV Game Changer. In this podcast, we will speak with manufacturing leaders, component suppliers, dealers, subsector innovators, influencers, and industry experts who all believe RVing is good for our environment. It's good for our economy. It's great for our family values and overall well-being. With your help, we can improve the RV experience for everyone. Okay, today on the RV Game Changer, we have the pleasure of speaking with a gentleman who has worked with Grand Design for the last several years. He currently works with the sales teams of all the products that Grand Design carries. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of introducing you to Mr. Jeff Muffaletto, Sales Development Manager at Grand Design RV. Welcome, Jeff. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Bernie. How are you doing, bud?
I'm good. I can't thank you enough for joining me today. You know, we've known each other for a little while, and we've always had a great rapport, and we've had a lot of fun over the years going to different RV shows and selling products and having a good time with Grand Design. So thank you so much for joining us today.
No, it's an honor, man. I appreciate it. You know, I don't know if you remember this. We were on the radio together up in New England a few years back. I think it was right after COVID, right?
Yeah, you know, you were actually my first guest, I think, and you flew out from Indiana to come join me. So that was a great privilege that you went out of your way to do that. And we had a great time that day. And thank you so much for letting me. That day, I was kind of going off the rails a little bit. And we had a good time, though. We had a great time.
All right. Yeah. You know, because of you, I only use...
have fun, right? It's the RV industry. Let's have
100%.
fun.
You know, because of you, I only use Pam cooking spray now. I put away all the generic brands. You mentioned that on the radio. It's all I use.
Yeah. And you know what? And it works.
It works
really well. So like some of the other sprays will kind of evaporate really quickly and have no, like on the grill, it's a big deal to have too much evaporation. You want to leave some oil there. Yeah.
Right.
So,
See,
I let's talk a little bit. So let's talk. I know Grand Design's a big company in the RV industry. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of Grand Design and kind of where it's been and where it's going?
Yeah, so Grand Design, we founded back in 2012, and first unit shipped in 2013, and that was a product called Solitude.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it's still around. It looks a little different, but it's still around. Yeah, and so from 2013, onward, it grew. The company grew at just a seemingly exponential rate. We've added product lines. The Solitude started us off. We added a line called the Reflection, and then the Momentum.
The mid-profile fifth wheels, right?
Yeah, the Reflection's the mid-profile, and then Momentum, the the toy haulers. And and then after that, the Imagine came out, and then the Transcend. And then today we've got just a even wider breadth of product. There's there's sub brands within the ones I mentioned. There's a new one
called Imagine brands, right?
Yeah. There's the Imagine AIM, the Imagine XLS, and then just the regular Imagine. Transcend
3 Reflection brands.
Yeah, 3 Reflections. We've got 100 series, 150 series, and regular Reflection, and the Reflection travel trailer. So technically 4 in that regard.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
What an amazing development, over the years. And, Grand Designs, a lot of their successes comes from the way they do business. They have a special set of values and principles from which they operate. Now, can you elaborate on those a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love to, man. There's things that we've always talked about, and then there's things we've talked about kind of within the walls, and I'm happy to share them with you because I mean, we're actually really proud of them. We don't shy away at all. At the beginning,
you don't have to hide away from
the
customers.
Exactly. From the beginning, it's been, at the end of the day, it's customers for life. And we're not the only one to coin the phrase or use the phrase, but really it's what it's about, because we have this driving passion for building RVs and doing it in a way that, this isn't true for everybody, but I would sell a Grand Design to my mother.
Right.
Wouldn't necessarily sell every brand out there, but it's something we want to be able to go to work every day and believe in the product. And more recently, we've kind of codified what we as a company, not just in the production aspect of the units, but production, sales, service, operations, everything that we're about. We have these driving core values, and they tell us who we are, and
Mhm.
those core values kind of guide us, because it's amazing that within a company, and we've gotten to be really, I don't consider us a big company, but we're definitely bigger than we were 10, 11 years ago, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Woo.
yeah, and
It is
you
a
gotta
woo. It's like a log. What do they call it? This big curve. It goes almost straight up as it's going
right.
in growth. Yeah,
So
logarithmic.
when you get that many people, and you start adding people, and we've added, we're over, I think, over 2,000 people at Grand Design now. You've got to have the
Fantastic.
common core values that kind of tie everyone together. And our core values are gratitude, respect, accountability, innovation, and drive. And those things are, they don't mean anything until you put people behind them. But that's what we strive for every day.
And it's not just the leadership. Obviously, every single person that works for Grand Design has to be on board with those philosophies,
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like whether you're sweeping the floor or you're putting in a sidewall or you're welding a little piece onto the frame or whatever, everybody is making themselves accountable. And I'm going to back up a little bit because I've gone to the factory a couple of times,
Yeah, you
and what
have.
I see is you have like leadership or overseers at every single build station to make sure that
Yeah.
everything is going right.
Yeah. There are our group leaders is what they're called. Overseers is a little harsh. We
Oh,
we yeah, we've got group leaders, and even outside of that, quality control in every plant, and
right.
they're making sure that things are being done properly, and there's a whole quality control department. And what's great about that, when we started, and you may remember this, there's this concept called PDI, pre-delivery inspection. And
Right.
a lot of times, 10, 12 years ago, that was something that the dealer did. They'd get a unit in, and then before it was delivered to a customer, they would do a PDI. So a tech would go through, make a list of all the issues, get them corrected, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And there were a few companies out there before Grand Design who would do spot checks, basically. I think the most they were doing was 10% of their production,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and I mean, that was
And
a
that
big
was
deal for the
considered
time.
groundbreaking at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, for the time, it was a really big deal. I mean, there a lot of infrastructure had been built for that very purpose. Well, when Grand Design started, we actually committed, and we could do this because the first we were just building a handful of units a week. We PDI'd every single one of them. Now,
Wow.
yeah. So and it ramps up, right? And then you start adding more and more lines, and like we said, now we've got so many different lines, and we're building, at max capacity, we can build an incredible amount of units a day. And so today, is it feasible to PDI that many units? No, it's not feasible, but we still do it. 100% PDI. Every single unit
It's
gets.
not feasible. It's not practical, but
No,
you do it anyway.
we do it
Yeah.
anyway, because that's
Right.
the accountability aspect of it. There's a your listeners may or may not know this, but there's a saying in the RV industry that the dealership is the last 40 feet of production. We don't want that. We don't want your dealership to have to do that. So we
Thank you.
do it. Yeah. Yeah.
It does. It creates a lot of burden for the dealerships typically to do PDI and do the warranty, tracking this down,
Yeah.
tracking that down. To have campers come in when we still test them because
Hmm.
you kind of should, because that's what the way the RV industry is, a man-made industry or human-made industry. But with that being said, the amount of warranty is a substantially reduced as a result of the work that you guys before it even leaves the grounds at the factory.
Right. For sure. And it's
Yeah.
that warranty stuff. A lot of people, critics, if you will say, well, you just do that so you don't have to pay the warranty on the backside. Well, we do
It
so
costs money to do that. Yeah.
right. And not only does it cost money to do that, which, by the way, that's money that other manufacturers just don't spend.
Right.
Some do. I mean, I don't want to paint too broad of a brush, but in fact, we do have a competitor, and I'm happy to say that they just announced within the last couple of years that they are now at 100% PDI, and I think that's great. It only took them 50 or 60 years to get there, but that's awesome. And so it's raising the bar. It's never a
Right.
bad thing to have a company come in and do something better than someone else, and then the industry gets better. It's never a bad thing. It's happened
Yeah.
to us too after the fact.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
a
let's
not a bad thing.
yeah, let's jump around a little bit. No, actually, not too far from this, but let's explain a little bit more of, like, recently you had another growth curve where you put in some new manufacturing facilities,
Mhm.
and what happened with the service department, and why?
Yeah, so this has been something, and talk about a philosophy or a core value from the beginning. Before the first unit was ever built at Grand Design, we already had a service department in place. There was a gentleman by the name of Jerry McCarthy.
Right.
Today, he still heads up the service department, and Don, our CEO, had brought him over, and Jerry's awesome. He's kind of famous in Elkhart County for just being the guy that knows
Right.
everything about service and operations. But the significance of that was that before we built the first unit, we already had service operations in place, which is atypical because most manufacturers, they need to raise capital. So what they'll do is they'll start building units, they'll sell it, maybe set some money aside, and then they'll kind of backfill the service department. The problem with that
Ooh.
is that once you outpace your sales as far as service goes, it's basically impossible to catch up.
It-
So to
right.
answer your
Right.
question, yeah, from the
Yeah. Go ahead.
beginning, we've had service in place, and as we build more plants to build more products, we always make sure that we expand our service footprint before we increase the production footprint.
So what happened? I think it was in Elkhart. You guys built
Mhm.
a new service facility, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, we've had now this will be our third service facility. When we started, we were renting a place right down the road from Grand Design, and it was I like to, I don't want to, whitewash anything. It was tiny. It was a little pole barn looking thing, not even tall enough to put a fifth wheel in it. So definitely more of an administrative function than anything. Then as we grew, we actually right here on campus built a 120,000 square foot service facility, had a little campground out front. We warehoused all our parts there. It really was a huge upgrade.
Right.
And Jerry thought that that would last 10 years at least. Well,
Not quite.
right. Within 4, they were looking for a new place, and, I don't know if you know about, as far as manufacturing real estate up here, you essentially especially in that time, because that's when things were, like, up and up and up and up, it was almost impossible to find a warehouse or something big enough for service operations. So, you essentially had
Okay.
to pay too much for a cornfield and build your own. Well, that pushes things out. I don't know the whole story of how this happened, but there was a facility that came available in Elkhart, and we were able to secure it and modify it, and now it's home. It's our customer service center. It is home for our service operations, like our customer service operations, our warranty parts, things like that. We actually it's split into two. It's such a big part of our business now that a lot of it's there. All the warehousing is done there, and then we have some administrative stuff still here in Middlebury. But Bernie, this building is 300,000 square feet. It's
Oh
the
my God.
biggest Yeah, it's the biggest manufacturing. I'm sure up in Detroit, they've got car places that are bigger, but boy, as
Abandoned
far as
ones.
RV
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, as far as RVs go, I mean, you can't see from one end to the other, man. It's insane.
That's incredible. And it shows the commitment that Grand Design continues to have about following up and taking care of the end user, right? The customer.
Yeah.
People are out camping. And I
Yep.
just love the fact that you have 24/7 techs on the phone, people that can help coach you through some simple fixes on the fly. I know people personally who live in their Grand Design. They
Mhm.
homeschool their children,
Yeah.
and they have to make they bring a toolbox with them, and they get on the phone with the tech, and they send parts directly to wherever they're traveling to,
Yeah.
and they fix the camper on the fly. And it's like they get this constant coaching. So it's not like you just sell them the camper and you're done with them. It's like you become integrated in their family, and how they're using the camper and what they're using it for, and how they can create fixes on the fly if necessary.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a holistic kind of approach to that service.
Yeah, we do that because again, customers for life. You think about it, there's a lot of RVers, like you mentioned. I mean, they're naturally handy people. I mean, they can fix
Yeah,
a small thing. Now,
problem solvers. Yeah,
right. I mean, do we expect that in, most cases? No. I mean, that's why there's a service network and dealer network and mobile technicians and things like that. But that being said,
yeah.
we're one of the only manufacturers that has our entire parts catalog on our public website. Like you can go to our website, look up parts, you search by, your year, make, and model, and it'll show you all the parts that were available, and you can find a part number. We recommend you go through your local dealer to order those parts, but we'll drop ship as long as it's not a freight item. We'll drop
Right.
ship parts right to your campsite.
Well, I like the idea of that. And you know what? A lot of, with most of the Grand Design products coming with solar packages now, a lot of
Mhm.
them are expandable. So you could
They
kind
are.
of look and see, what's available if you want to expand that solar. And as a matter of fact, I got a special treat for everybody today. I got a
Oh.
little video of Jeff doing some solar chat. So let's bring that up. Hold on a second.
Hi, I'm Jeff from Grand Design RV. Solar is all the rage these days. In fact, every single Grand Design that we build has a solar panel on it. But today, I'm going to highlight the next step in solar. If you're looking at a Solitude or some select big Momentums, I want to show you something that very well may appeal to you. I'd like to introduce Dave from Future Solutions. Hey, Dave. Hey, Jeff. So we partnered with you guys to come out with this behemoth. What is this?
Yeah. So this is an advanced energy system. I like to call it the ELP, Extreme Lithium Package. And what this will do will actually invert and be able to run the entire coach.
The entire coach?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you say the entire coach, I think people are used to, hey, I can run my refrigerator, I can run, the lights and things like that. When you say the entire coach, we're talking about appliances as well, TVs, microwaves, air conditioners?
Conditioners, yes, you can include those.
Wow.
Definitely.
Okay, so this is going to run everything. So take me through how this works. There is a solar component to this, but it's more than that, right?
Yes.
There's 4 solar panels up top, 330 watts apiece.
1,320 watts total.
Okay, so that's a lot of energy coming in, and it's coming down to this, which is going to be in the front of the unit. And when it comes in, it goes to these, right? These are charge controllers,
Yep.
right? So how does that work?
There's 2 50 amp charge controllers here. And the reason that there's 2 is because you have 1,320 watts of solar on the roof. So to be able to capture and harness all the energy at peak sun, we needed 2 50 amp controllers.
Okay, so the energy comes down, that makes it available for the battery, and the battery holds that energy, right? And then that's the solar side of it. On the other side,
Which the solar isn't running everything. The solar is charging the batteries, so the batteries can help us.
right. I think there is a little bit of a misconception there. A lot of people think I can put a solar panel up top, it's going to run things. So that's not true. We need the solar to charge the battery. The battery then uses that energy, and it goes to, well, in this case, these inverters, right? These gigantic inverters. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Yeah, they're 2 3K hybrid inverters.
So 3,000 watts apiece.
Yes, you have to have the 6,000 watts to be able to run 3 ACs if that's what you choose to do.
Okay. So this is this is now going to be drawing from the batteries, which we'll look at in just a second, and this is going to be taking that battery power, turning it into power available for all the AC appliances, right? Okay, wow. And so what else do we have in the system here? I know we do have an alternate way of getting energy to the system, right, with the truck.
Yeah, we have a DC to DC 60 amp controller here.
Okay.
This can hook up to the tow vehicle.
Okay.
This is separate from the Bargeman. This will be a lot better and faster charge than the Bargeman plug.
All right, Jeff. I could watch that all day. It's a lot of fun trying to figure that all out. But tell us a little bit about, man, what I see there is that you're being so complete with this package. It's not like you're not leaving any leaf unturned. And even the way the truck is going to be charging those batteries gets affected. And you're actually going to be providing more power to the camper than if you were plugged into a 50 amp. I can't believe that you were able to accomplish this on a fifth wheel.
Well, yeah. So when it comes to any product innovation that we do, and anywhere from, and I'm glad you actually picked this system because it's a really good example of it. It's also the most expensive option we have at like $23,000. So good job.
I got
Um,
that. No problem. I
and
mean,
the
I think
solar
it's really
thing,
unique. Yeah, go ahead.
right? The solar thing, and I wouldn't say it would be a misnomer to say that it's the same as being plugged into to 50 amp. I mean, that's going to charge a lot faster than like a solar and a truck hookup would. But
Okay.
what this is offering is there's a large group of consumers out there, and you don't run into them every day, but it's pretty sizable across the US and Canada, that they want to be able to go off grid for set periods of time, what that looks like, a day, 2 days, 5 days, a month, I don't know. But they want something that's OEM from the factory that can be kind of their starting point. And a lot of manufacturers have kind of done this halfway in the past couple of years. It's only been recent, within the last couple of years, that air conditioners were added to the inverter circuit so that you can run an air conditioner off batteries. I mean, it's really,
It's
and
just
frankly, the
recent.
battery
Yeah.
technology it's just not, it hasn't been there yet. But with lithium batteries and things like that, this system can allow you to do that. And, like you said, this is part of that innovation core value that we have. We are always looking for things that kind of push the limit. RVs are, I mean, anyone who's honest will tell you RVs are nowhere near, as far as technological availability, anywhere near the automotive industry. So there's a lot
Right.
of things out there that are just waiting to be incorporated, but it has to be done the right way, and it takes some initiative, and it takes a company, and not just a company, but also a supplier to be able to do that. So it's everything. It's everything we put into our products, not just the $23,000 ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Future Solutions obviously really came up and stepped up to the plate to come up with
Mhm.
a solution to what you guys were looking to do.
Right.
But, I'm thinking about the end user, right?
Mhm.
So, a lot of people have these big rigs and they may be at a racetrack all weekend.
Mhm.
And the amount of noise pollution going on with everyone's generator running, and here you are sitting quiet,
Yeah.
running your ACs. And or if you go to a state park, right? You go to
Sure.
a place where it's privately owned and they're like, no, you're not running a generator and you got to be self-sufficient. Well, now you can do that. And,
Right.
if you do have the financial resources to purchase a vehicle such as this, great. You can camp in a whole different way,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
want to enjoy the nature. Maybe you
Yeah.
want the moose, the bear, the deer, the rabbits to come up close to you, and you're not scaring
Right.
them away with all that noise.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too. I mean, you mentioned, like, it's an expensive option on an expensive RV. It's not for everybody. But you know what? We still offer a generator. So for a fraction of the
Yeah.
price, you just crank that bad boy up and, annoy the neighbors and scare off the deer, and you do the same thing.
Yeah,
So
no, I
you got
I
something for
hear you.
everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, so, speaking of like new innovations, you got a
Mhm.
new product line that's coming out real soon. There's been a couple of teasers out there, and,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, yeah, you're leaving me wanting more for sure. I'm like
Right.
almost a little frustrated. Like, how come they can't show anything yet? So, tell
Right.
us a little bit about this new Grand Design motorhome line coming out.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I stay in my lane, because that
Okay.
we have a whole
You probably know
motorized.
things that you're not supposed to share quite yet, but yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's kind of like, it's kind of like a 3, 4, 5 course dinner. You've got the appetizer, you've had your salad, now you're almost ready, right? So
Yeah,
it's
it's like going to a really fancy restaurant, though. They're only giving you, like, this little, cottage cheese on a spoon or something with a drop
right,
of caviar on it. I'm like, "Okay, I'm still
right,
hungry."
right. Well, we're gonna throw down the steak here in a little while,
All
but
right,
yeah.
good.
So
Hit me.
motorized, and I will say this. There is, if your listeners want more information about motorized, so we actually, here's the shameless plug.
Yeah.
Grand Design actually has a podcast as well. It's called a GDRV Fireside Chat. It's on all the platforms. We just released, about 2 weeks ago, an interview with our motorized general manager and our motorized product manager, Tommy Hall and Mike Hums. And we spent about 30 minutes talking about it, and they talk about the product. And they don't necessarily give you any more information than what you've seen online, but they give you kind of the background, the history. And Grand
Yeah,
Design,
why? Give us a why.
A why? I'm sorry?
A why. Why are they building a
Yeah,
motorhome
why are
all
they
of a sudden?
exactly. So that's the thing, man, and that's really, really, really important because we don't want to just build stuff to build it. And I think a lot of people, there's people who, whether it be competitors or people, it just doesn't matter. There's always critics, right? And
Right.
the critics are always, talking about, oh, it's just going to be another Winnebago, and we address that. Grand Design was acquired by Winnebago in 2016, and everyone makes it sound like it was, last year, and it wasn't. It's been years, right? And so, a lot of our growth has been under in partnership with Winnebago. And so now, why now? Well, we answered that in the podcast, but I'll give you the short story. We
Yeah.
had we had so, especially after COVID, and going into COVID and after the pandemic, we just couldn't build enough towables to justify building another building and starting a new line. And we needed a little bit of a break. I mean, like most manufacturers, we were running at extremely high rates and things like that through 2000, 2001 and onward. And so we needed the time to plan. We just didn't have the resources for it. We wanted to do it right, which is also indicative of the fact that it is not a copy and paste from Winnebago, because we could have just been like,
Okay.
send us your
Yeah. So many
plans. And
manufacturers try to copy
yeah.
and kind of not do a great job of it. And now that you guys are associated with Winnebago, yeah,
Mhm.
you want to probably get some good rules of thumb from them, but you don't want to be copying their product. It's a different product, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it's never bad to outsource for counsel and for advice, and that's kind of what we do. And it's one of those things. We just want to make sure that we're doing things correctly. But when it comes to the product design, I'm going to tell you right now, I've been in our prototype for the Lineage, and when these things start hitting the dealer lots and are out there for the public, you're going to see no less than 10 to 15 things that you've never seen before on a Class C.
Really?
Yep.
So regarding the floor plans or functionality?
Both. I
Okay.
mean, floor plans, you can only do so much in a Class C. I mean, before
Right,
it
right.
becomes, a Class A, right? But the way that it's thought out and the way that how everything is integrated together, nobody's doing it. In fact, we had a tour of the motorized facility a few weeks ago, and all the towable guys were extremely jealous because of certain things that we're doing in that plant, and processes too, Bernie. If you listen to the podcast, you'll hear this. So I'll just tell you a few
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
But in that plant, most of the time when you go into an RV plant, whether it be motorized or towable, there's air tools everywhere, right? There's a giant compressor and there's air tools, and you go in and you just hear hissing and there's dust everywhere. This is
Yep.
an this is an airless plant. So there are no
Really?
air tools in this plant. It's all lithium. Yeah, we signed a agreement with Milwaukee Tool Company, and we use lithium battery powered Milwaukee tools for everything. They're actually charged by solar, so it's a
Wow.
renewable. Yeah,
It's
it's a renewable
renewable,
thing.
green, efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way, just everything from the way we do our systems, plumbing, heating, and cooling, all the way down to the little features and the niceties and the way that it looks and the pop. It's so very different, and I'm excited for everyone to see it.
Sounds like a green plant. Is that be a
Yeah,
substantial,
I don't know.
proper term? Yeah.
That's a question for our operations team. I know it is.
Yeah.
It's greener than most.
Hey, I'm going to ask you one more trick question here. Grand
Okay.
Design always plans well in advance. Like every step, they're like, they're probably 3-5 years in the future when they're making ideas, about what's going to happen with the company. So the question is what else past the Lineage is on Grand Design's horizon?
Yeah, man. So as far as motorized go, I don't know. If you, I will say there's a little bit of a teaser in the motorized podcast I mentioned, but
Okay.
I'd
Yeah,
rather
I'll
you
have to
hear
look
it
at that
from.
up for sure.
Yeah, I'd rather you hear that from Tommy, rather than me. But we're always planning, and we're always forward thinking, man, and it's going to be, you know because it is such a new segment, I will say this, a lot of that will be determined by listening to our customers, because once we get a year or two under our belt with the Lineage, really it's going to be a customer driven thing. We'll do what our customers want us to do.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I was looking at the Lineage a little bit closer, and I see that there is some pretty interesting little highlights there you can just barely see. But I love the way the roof is contoured. For one thing, is that it's like a heavy slope off to the edge, and it looks like the seam is down really low, so it's going to really reduce the risk of any leakage. But I think I see up in the top, right below the AC, it looks like a huge solar panel there, and there's so much else going to go on with Grand Design, you know.
This, I will tell you, one of the things that you won't see in other Class Cs is the way that power management is done in this RV. And there's a lot of ways that's going to take place. And yeah, there's some solar panels, and just the way everything is done. There are systems on this RV that have never been in RVs before, in motorized RVs. We're building on our first chassis, and everyone, wants different chassis. So like the one you saw there is on a Sprinter chassis by Mercedes. That chassis that you're looking at is the very first type of that chassis ever imported into the United States. We're the ones that have them. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
that version of the Sprinter is a one of a kind.
Yeah. So I mean, that's their new one, I should say. It's not necessarily exclusive to us, but it's new, and we're building on it. And there's some advantages to this new chassis. We are actively, we look at all the different chassis suppliers. We started with Sprinter because those are the ones that we could get, and it made sense with what we were going to do. But there's other plans, as well. So, but I don't want to tip our hand too much,
Well, I appreciate the little taste that you've given us, and I can't wait to get to the entree on this Lineage product. And
right.
Jeff, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the RV Game Changer show. Yeah.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, bud. And anytime you want to have me on, you just let me know.
Oh yeah, by all means. Thank you everybody, and this has been the RV Game Changer. Today we're speaking with Jeff Muffaletto, Grand Design RV. And if you want to find the latest episode of RV Game Changer, make sure you go to rvtoday.tv, where you find our latest episode along with a lot of great information, tips and tricks, and videos of RVing Today TV. If you want to get a hold of me, go to RV Game Changer on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and make sure to subscribe. Have a wonderful week, and God bless.